Our presentation is on traumatic brain injury and orthopedic impairments. So the first slide is about students with cerebral palsy. And this is the largest group of students with orthopedic impairment. 10,000 children are diagnosed per year. This occurs because of injury to the brain before, during, or after birth, and it results in poor muscle coordination. It can vary in the degree of severity. It doesn't really affect their intellect, so they could intellectually be gifted, average, or below average. Although some people tend to assume people with CP have an intellectual disability because of the way they move or talk. Sometimes they could even be in a wheelchair. It just depends on how severe it is. And then the next slide is about students with spinal cord injuries. And this occurs when the spinal cord is damaged. And this usually results in paralysis. Most often it's a result of a vehicle accident. And the characteristics and needs of the students are similar to those with cerebral palsy.
So some instructional support for students with orthopedic impairments. So a lot of modifications or accommodations are made. It just depends on the nature and the severity of the disability, the status of the student's physical impairments, and then their learning capacities. So as a teacher, we need to be alert with the physical environment. So changes like to how the furniture is arranged or where we put them sitting in the class need to be considered. Some other things that we can be aware of is that some of these impairments use assistive technology. So having those in the classroom, being aware of how to use those. And then some other accommodations that may need are personal care needs, and then these include sometimes the student can have low energy, and so they become fatigued easily. So they may have a harder time attending learning activities later in the day. So a few naps throughout, or just taking it slow and resting may be needed. And then some students may need to take medication, or they may need help with using the restroom or eating, or if they're in a wheelchair, they may need to be repositioned. Usually paraprofessionals help with these personal care needs, but sometimes a teacher may need to step in and help.
So characteristics of students with a traumatic brain injury or a TBI, it really ranges. It's pretty broad. So some students could have the same mental capacity as before their injury, or it could be worse. It could have decline. Some may experience difficulty with organizing and initiating their learning tasks, so kind of just getting started in the school day. They may have difficulty processing verbal information, so when instructions are given verbally and not written, it may take them a little bit to process that. They may have limited use of arms or legs or fine motor movement, and at the same time, they could be completely fine in that area. They may have limited strength and stamina, so they may get tired really easily and not be able to perform all day. And they may have changes in social or their emotional state, and so things may bother them that didn't used to bother them. I had a TBI when I was in high school, and I was fine in most areas. My organization wasn't what it used to be. I would get tired really easily, and I emotionally was completely different. I would cry and freak out over things that I wouldn't have before. And so there is that broad spectrum. And for families of a student that has a TBI, it's important to have meetings with the parents to make sure that everybody's on the same page. It's also important to remember that you need to be sensitive with these parents. They have gone through something traumatic. Sometimes they've seen their child in a state that no parent would ever imagine, and so it's important to be there for them and understand that things are going to be a little bit harder for a little bit, and then be flexible with the family with handing in homework and other schoolwork and just all of those types of things.
Okay, and then instructional supports for students with traumatic brain injury, or TBI, is that they'll need a wide range of support depending on the severity of their traumatic brain injury. But just some general overviews are they're going to need help with physical needs, instructional and organizational routines, and they're going to need help with academic content and social environment. So for structure and routine, it's really important that students with TBI have a consistent pattern. So our activities should be consistent, so they should know what to expect when they come into the classroom, and material should always be in the same place. So they shouldn't have to go around looking for a stapler or for pencils or crayons or whatever it might be. They should always know where it is. And then, of course, a teacher can't make every day the same. So there are some changes that will be necessary throughout the school year. But if a change is necessary, the teacher should alert the student, assign them a buddy, and stay close to them to step in if there's any if there's anything their buddy can't really deal with or handle. And then provide academic accommodations. So like it was previously discussed, students with TBI have a wide variety. They might be able to perform cognitively the same as they did before, or they might need a lot of help in academic areas. So just knowing what your student is like and the severity of their brain injury is important to provide accommodations. And then socially, emotionally, and behaviorally, students rely on you as the teacher to set expectations for them and be supportive and responsive to their needs. So again, for students with TBI, the teacher needs to be close and needs to be able to understand what the student needs when they need it.
Okay, and we got all of our information out of the special needs textbook. Thank you for watching.